馬來西亞航空370號班機空難，係指喺2014年3月8日從馬來西亞吉隆坡前往中國北京首都國際機場嘅波音777-200ER 航機失蹤嘅事件，亦被認為係有史以嚟最離奇嘅飛機失聯案例。
Flight MH370 ended in the southern Indian Ocean.
As every hour goes by, the search area gets bigger and bigger.
When Flight 370 went off grid on March the 8th, 2014, it became an international mystery.
It's just not acceptable for an aircraft full of passengers to vanish. The world can't tolerate that.
點解以現代先進科技，包括雷達、人造衛星等，都未能協助全球各國數以百計嘅專家揾出馬航 MH370 嘅去向同蹤影呢？原來 MH370 喺失蹤前，機上用嚟回應機場追蹤嘅2頻雷達 transponder 早已被刻意關閉啦。
More worrying. 2 minutes after Flight 370's last words, the plane's vital radar tracking device, its transponder, stops working. With 20,000 flights in the air at any one time, transponders are the primary way air traffic control keeps track of them.
A transponder is a device on the aircraft that sits there passively, but the moment it receives certain radar waves from a ground-based radar, it wakes up.
The radar will transmit a question that basically says, "Who are you?"
It then sends a digital message back saying, "I'm me, I'm here." And depending upon the complexity of the system on the aeroplane, it may well give more information about the aircraft, its altitude and its position.
High above the South China Sea, there is radio silence from the aircraft and no blip from the transponder on the screens. Vietnamese air traffic control is expecting the plane's scheduled arrival in their airspace. But from 1:21 a.m. on, they can't see or hear Flight 370.
For an airplane to disappear off of their radar screens and not be in communication is a very, very, very difficult thing for air traffic control to live with.
Blind without the transponder, air traffic control doesn't know that the 777 is going way off course, heading west, in completely the opposite direction.
The rate of incidence of aircraft disappearing is really very low.
一名馬來西亞官員表示，調查人員已經確認劫持馬航 MH370 客機者為一名或多名具備飛機駕駛經驗嘅人。劫機者有意關閉飛機上嘅通訊設備，並將飛機偏離預定嘅航線。英國專家表示，歹徒可藉住飛機上嘅娛樂系統入侵飛機嘅主系統，從而操控及劫持飛機。機師唔單止刻意關閉咗2頻雷達 transponder， 更刻意關閉咗飛機嘅通訊定址與報告系統 ACARS system。
But the transponder is not the only system that keeps the planes in contact with the ground. There's a second, the Aircraft Communication Addressing and Reporting System, or ACARS.
Aircraft can automatically send back data about their performance to their manufacturers, such as engine performance, fuel consumption, perhaps even the speed of the aircraft.
But crucially, on Flight 370, this satellite messaging system stopped transmitting at about the same time as the plane deviated off course, and the transponder stopped working.
It's within that 10, maybe 15 minutes of the outside that we really need to understand precisely what was going on in the cockpit at the time.
The fact that both the transponder and the ACARS messaging system shut down raises a crucial question.
the transponder became inoperative. How did it become inoperative?
It does appear that at some point, part of the ACAR system was disabled. That could have been either through intentional disabling or through some sort of very specific system failure.
The person best positioned to disable the system is the pilot.
If the pilot needs to turn off the transponder, it's quite easy for him to do. It's located down here on the central console, and it's just a case of go to a single switch and turn that off. Another way to do that, or for example to turn the ACARs off, is to come up here to these circuit breakers and then you just pull the circuit breakers that apply and everything stops working.
There are legitimate reasons why a pilot would turn a transponder off.
I've had to turn a transponder off in flight once. In my case, it was because I had an electrical failure. I can't imagine a situation where you would turn a transponder off and not tell air traffic control that that's what you were doing.
另外，雖然飛機通訊定址與報告系統連接咗衛星，但系統自身冇開啟定位，所以只知道 MH370 喺失去聯絡後，再飛行咗6小時先至停落嚟。
However, onboard tracking and comms were disabled. One vital communication link kept going: the pings or handshakes from the satellite antenna.
Pings were an automated response from the aircraft saying, yes, I'm still here.
Crucially, the pings keep transmitting for 6 hours after the plane has veered off course. This development will prove vital in the search for Flight 370.
While those pings don't give us any data in themselves of where it may have been located, we know through those pings that the aircraft was in flight for a number of hours beyond when it lost contact.
此外，馬來西亞同泰國嘅雷達都曾探測到 MH370，不過所測得嘅信息後嚟都從兩國嘅雷達系統中消失。
It's incredible that when we've got so much smart technology, we've got our mobile phones, we've got GPS, we can find anything anywhere in the world. We've actually lost a plane with all those souls on board.
So how do you find a missing plane? The first method is by tracking from the ground using radar. A key missing link: our reliance on technology with limitations.
Radar's been in existence since the Second World War, really. Radar relies on there being a ground station nearby and runs out within a couple of hundred miles of the coast.
Flight 370 vanishes from air traffic control radar screens as its transponder is deactivated, less than an hour into its flight, and just 2 minutes after the co-pilot has said goodnight. The military who use primary radar that doesn't rely on a transponder are still able to track the plane. But after 90 minutes, they too lose sight.
Looking at primary radar, it has limitations. It perhaps has a range of 100, 120 miles at the sort of level that the airplane was at. So it's of limited value.
Malaysian military radar plotted an unidentified object, later assumed to be Flight 370, at a point south of Phuket. Thai military radar logs also confirmed the plane turned west.
The thing that has scuppered us is the lack of ground stations. So we have coverage a few hundred miles out from the shore, but actually, in general, we're not covering large areas of sea where this aircraft seems to have gone.
So as Flight 370 drops off all radar, is anyone watching? And if so, who?
根據軍方主動雷達嘅記錄，航班失蹤當日嘅凌晨，有不明飛行物體刻意地飛往印度洋。調查人員相信，該不明飛行物體就係 MH370，且沿住導航路標點飛行，說明駕駛者曾接受過航空訓練，有意識咁樣讓航班偏離航向，並轉向印度洋。另外，人造衛星亦揾唔到 MH370嘅去向。
There are more than 1,000 satellites orbiting the Earth. The military and commercial companies have spent trillions on satellite technology. Imaging satellites are able to focus down from hundreds of kilometers to see objects just half a meter in length. Surely the missing aircraft must have been spotted.
The vast majority of imagery satellites are in low Earth orbit only a few hundred kilometers up, and they're moving very fast. So taking an image from a satellite of something on the surface of the Earth is like driving a car down the street, looking through a pair of binoculars and trying to read all the house numbers as you go by.
Leading nations like China, Russia, and the US may have been unwilling to come forward with any covert satellite data, as it would reveal their military capabilities.
One interesting question is, at what phase in the search were some of these military and national security capabilities brought to bear on the problem? If satellite capabilities are tasked to help search for Flight 370, that may mean those capabilities are not available for other high-priority national security taskings, such as keeping tabs on North Korea or other potential bad actors.
Malaysia has asked other countries to share potentially sensitive radar and satellite data.
The US military does have some satellites that are dedicated towards missile warning, but those satellites work off of heat signatures, and an aircraft in flight is not generating a heat signature. If there had been a large explosion, then these satellites would have likely picked it up. But US officials have said that these systems did not discover anything that would signify anything like a large explosion, which leads to the mystery of what might have happened.
然而，直至而家 MH370 上嘅飛機黑盒亦冇揾到，而家亦無法確定航班失蹤嘅真正原因。
There are two parts to the black box, both situated at the rear of the aircraft.
The cockpit voice recorder records voice and sound from 4 microphones on the flight deck. The flight data recorder, however, records data from different sensors around the aircraft. On something like a Boeing 777, there'll be up to 1,500 parameters recorded. So it'll be recording speed, altitude, cabins depressurized, a whole host of parameters.
Black boxes are fitted with an underwater locator beacon, which is activated when it hits salt water.
It emits a ping, and it emits a regular little heartbeat signal just to say, I'm here. And so what the searchers have to do is find that signal, and it has quite a short range, not more than a few miles.
Flight 370 has exposed a weakness in the design of the black box.
喺2014年8月24日播放嘅2012榮耀盼望信息中，又話牧師指出 MH370 失蹤事件背後可能隱藏住一個重大陰謀，呢個可能係控制世界嘅影子政府所策劃嘅，目的係喺全世界面前試驗點樣將一架飛機從所有可以跟隨嘅線索中消失得無影無蹤，透過一架消失嘅客機製造一個國際陰謀。而呢個陰謀可能就係發生喺2014年7月17日於烏克蘭嘅 MH17 被擊落事件，從而發動第3次世界大戰。咁樣亦解釋咗點解幕後黑手要預備另外一架同 MH370 外表完全一樣嘅飛機，因為當 MH370 嘅行蹤被人發現嘅話，幕後黑手就可以利用呢架早已預備好嘅 MH370 影子飛機撞落海中，好向公眾交代事件。